All right, hey everybody. I'm out here painting some full board fence that I put up. I put some of this fence up. Some of it was already here, repaired some of it. This was one of the areas that our tornado come through. So anywho, this is a job I worked on earlier this year. Now I'm back to paint their fence since it's fence painting season. So wanted to do a quick video going over my paint spray setup and what I do and what all is entailed with, you know, spraying and painting some wood full board fencing. So go over the machine real quick. As you can see, it's dirty. Painting, any sort of painting is a very messy proposition, especially out here in the fields, on the ranches. We don't have the benefit of like a house painter that gets to work inside the house on like a nice smooth surface and has water available and all that. I kind of have to do what I got to do out here, which is one reason why I bought the machine that I bought, and we're going to go over that here now. But so you can see it gets dirty. The back of the UTV gets dirty. It's just a messy proposition. But my machine is a Graco Magnum ProX19 airless cordless paint sprayer. It is powered off of the DeWalt FlexVolt 60 volt batteries, that DeWalt battery system. So twofold on why I went with this machine. Number one, I have DeWalt tools. All of my tools are DeWalt. I use the DeWalt 20 volt, 60 volt platforms. So it made sense to buy a machine that incorporates right into the battery supply that I already have. I got tons of these batteries, so that part of it made sense. The second part is I wanted a battery powered unit because I'm already set up to be battery powered. I don't have a generator. I don't have a gas powered air compressor. I don't fool with any of that stuff. I hate small engines. I hate gas. Everything I own is diesel. I have diesel trucks. This UTV is a diesel. Even my lawnmower is a diesel. I do not like fooling with gas and small engines. The gas that we have these days is absolutely awful, and it's just a maintenance nightmare. And that's another topic. So then I don't want to have to deal with power cords. I don't want to have to listen to a generator run all day long. I just did not want that. So this fits into my whole battery powered system. Now, Graco is obviously a really big name in the paint sprayer industry. So I wanted to go, I like name brand stuff. I like top of the line stuff. I believe in spending money to buy a quality product. So I started looking at paint sprayers, obviously went, you know, Graco is one of the first ones that's going to come up. And I saw that they offered this model that runs off of DeWalt batteries. And I was like, well, that's right there in my wheelhouse. Very attractive. It is an expensive sprayer. I can't remember exactly what I paid for this thing, but I think after shipping and all, it was like $1,700. I got it through Home Depot. I think it's available at more retailers now. I know it was a pretty new offering. I bought this sometime in 2022. I can't remember exactly when. It's a little over a year old now. And so far it's been a great machine. So you could probably get it at more retailers, but I think the options at that point was either through Graco or through Home Depot, maybe Lowe's or something. I went with Home Depot because I got their credit card and I could save 5%. So I bought it through Home Depot. It was the machine, and it did come with two DeWalt FlexVolt 6 amp hour batteries. And it comes, you know, fully equipped. I think the only thing, I can't remember, I think I chose which tip came with it. I can't remember if I had to buy the tip separate or if I got to pick which tip came with it. And I went with the True Airless 515 tip. Kind of did some research online for like fence paints, thicker paints or whatever, and the 515 is what I came down. If you go to Graco's site, on their website, it has like a tip selector, and it will tell you the pattern. It'll tell you what tips go for like what type of paint. So they'll tell you, hey, these are the tips for oil-based paint. And then, so I'm using an oil-based paint, so I went with that. And then off of that chart, it will give you the tip, and it will say at this distance away from the fence, this tip creates this wide of a pattern. And I think this tip at like 12 inches creates a 8-inch pattern, I think it was, or anywho, it's something of that nature. I knew I was going to be painting 6-inch boards, so that's how I selected the tip, and it's like I said, a Graco 515. But other than that, the machine comes with everything you need. I have sprayed, I haven't done that many jobs with it, but I'm out here painting, like this job right here, I'm doing 3,000 linear feet of board fence, roughly. So the jobs that I have done require a lot of materials on. And I look back at my records, and I think I've ran 50 5-gallon buckets through this machine so far. So whatever, you know, 5 times 5, 25. So that's 250 gallons that I've sprayed through this machine over the past year. So it handles quite a lot of paint, and I haven't had a single issue out of it. So I mean, I guess for a residential house painter, you're gonna paint quite a lot in a house with 250 gallons of paint. Like that's quite a few, many houses. So I guess it has some decent usage on it. Like I said, it's just a year old, or a little over a year old. But so far, I've had 0 issues. So anyways, let's get into the actual operation of it, because it's super, super simple. Now, with this machine, I wish I'd have brought it with me. I don't keep it with me anymore, but they gave me a laminated, you get like a laminated instruction card, which was super helpful getting used to it. I've kind of learned the steps in the process of what I need to do to get it spraying now, so I don't keep the instruction card with me. But it's a really nice laminated instruction card. And with any instructions, the step-by-step instructions make it sound or seem complicated, like there's a whole lot of steps to it and all. And it's not. Once you get used to the process, it's real easy. So this thing has been stored. I used it a couple days ago to spray. So I have mineral spirits in the hose and in the pump. So I got a fresh bucket of paint here. You attach your battery and make sure the machine is on. So the machine is on. You want to turn your knob to start, and then you want to go down to the prime function. So this pointing straight ahead tells you that it's spraying down the hose. So it's just a ball valve, quarter turn ball valve in here. So pointed this way tells you the spray is coming down the hose. So we're in spray mode. We want to go to prime, which is straight down through your primer tube. So when you go to prime, it's going to start sucking and recirculating paint. Once you start seeing the paint move in the bucket, that tells me it's circulating paint. Switch it back up, and if you're having trouble priming, when you switch back to spray, the pump won't cut off. It's going to keep running. So when you switch it back to spray and your pump cuts off, that tells you that it has gotten prime and you're good to go. So from there, you want to dial up your pressure, and I usually spray about there. So this is your pressure knob. You can spin it all the way over. The farther you spin to the right, that is, the more pressure you get. So I usually keep it somewhere about in there. Now, you want to start spraying, and I'm going to clean all the mineral spirits out of this. And the mineral, so another caveat to that is I clean that sprayer out with mineral spirits, but that's only if it's going to sit for like, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks at most. If it's going to sit, like once I'm done with this fence painting season, which I got this job and 2 more jobs this year. Once I get done with painting for the year, because once it gets into wintertime, gets real cold, I don't paint anymore because you can't. It just, paint won't act right. Once I get done, I flush this whole system out, and Graco has this pump protectant. It's like a little bottle of blue liquid that you suck into the pump, and it helps lubricate the seals and keep them from drying out. So anyways, I just sit here and spray and spray and spray and just work all this mineral spirits out. And you see the mineral spirits is real white, and you'll see once the black paint hits here in just a little bit. It is pretty apparent. That right there tells me it just sucked up some junk. So the cool thing about these guns is when your spray messes up, you take this tip and you flip it around to clean out, There's the paint. So now we got down to good black paint, and that's all there is to it. We're ready to stretch our hose out here and get to painting. So she's set and ready to go. That is all you have to do to that machine to get paint into it and get it ready to start painting fence. So here in a second, I'm gonna have some fresh board sections, and I'll show you the technique of how I go about painting fence. So y'all, another aspect of fence painting is your PPEs, really using any sort of paint. And that's my outfit here. That's a full hooded Tyvek suit. Get them at Home Depot, they're about 20 bucks. That is what I wear, and as you can tell, there's a whole lot of overspray on it, and I just don't want that on my clothes. It's the main part. Helps protect you, keep you a little cleaner. Paint's not getting on your skin. Obviously I wear just, you know, nitrile gloves for my hands. And then the most important thing, and this one's a little worn out, I need to replace it, but I use a 3M, standard kind of 3M painter's mask respirator. Doesn't have the best filters on it, but it does a good job. You definitely want some kind of breathing protection. Paint is pretty strong. It's got flammable warnings on it. Like, you do not want to be breathing this paint all day. So remember to wear some proper protective equipment. Y'all, here is the spraying technique that I use for painting full board fence. So I do this technique pretty much if it's already been painted before, or if I'm doing like fresh board fence like what this is. So if it's a first coat or a second coat or a recoat or whatever, it doesn't matter. This is a technique that I have developed. So one thing to note is I do not paint the bottom of the board. So the bottom edge here, I do not turn at an up angle to coat that. One is you don't see it. Two, that leaves an uncoated part of the wood for the wood to breathe. So as it gets moisture, as it heats and cools or whatever, the uncoated bottom lip of the board that doesn't have a sealant on it, i.e. the paint, allows the board to breathe. So I will not go up angle and paint the bottom of the board. So first thing I do is I come across the top and I do a downward angle. So I'll come down to kind of hit down into the rough cut, because this is rough cut wood, so it's grained. So I like to get a good downward angle spray, because most of the time a human is above the heights of the board. So if somebody walks up to this fence, they're going to be looking down. Now, if you notice with this first spray here, the downward angle covers the top edge, and then it covers part of the face, but you still see you have some exposed grain here. But I like that downward angle because you're above the fence. So you're going to be looking down and you will see that downward angle into the grooves of the grain of wood. Then I come back with a straight spray, and it's either going to be completely straight, or I might even get a slight upward angle on it. And then once you come across that, pretty much coats the board almost perfectly with one coat. Then I start over, so I've sprayed straight down, jump down, come another downward angle on this board. I'll go ahead and overlap that fascia board onto the next section, come straight, back across, downward angle, and then here I usually flip it and come down across like that to try to get that straight angle without me stooping all the way down. Then I cut in the face board, so I'll come down the edge of it and I spray in like that to try to get some paint to penetrate in the gap. Come up under here, turn it to make sure I spray up underneath the bottom edge of that fascia board. Give it a coat on the front, paint the bottom of the fence post, another angle like that, hit the top of the post, then I jump into the next section. So the name of the game with anything, and hopefully the sun's not kind of killing it for you, but the name of the game with anything, you know, time is money. We paint fence by the foot. So the more footage you can do in the less amount of time, the more profit you can make for your time, for your day. Materials doesn't really change no matter how fast you paint for the most part. I mean, if you went slow, you might get a little more efficient as far as the less amount of paint that you use, but pretty much time is money in this. So the faster you can go, the fewer movements you can make, the better. So limit your motions, try to work back and forth, and I usually wind up, y'all are watching the video, so I'll go back and time it and kind of see what that looked like. That maybe a minute, maybe a little over, a little under a minute per section, so it winds up going pretty fast. To give you an idea, I've gone from that gate right there over through that, over the gate, and then all the way up this section down the driveway, and it wraps back up around the road. It's about 1,350, 1,375 feet of fence so far, and then kind of down this section. So we're probably close to 1,500 feet of fence that I've done, and I've been out here since, let's see here, I started painting right at 11 o'clock today. It is now approaching 5 o'clock. I took probably 30 minutes for lunch. A couple little breaks here and there. But roughly I've been painting for 5 hours. So you can move on. It goes by pretty quick as long as your back holds up. But anyways, that's my technique for painting. So it's the end of the day. I'm done painting. Let's go over like cleanup on your Graco Magnum ProX19 sprayer. So these machines are honestly super simple. When I first bought this machine, was getting into like painting fences and stuff, I was nervous about like how to take care of it, making sure it would last. Thought it was going to be like a super complicated process, and it's honestly not. It is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. This is some old mineral spirits. I got some chunky stuff in here. Let me go get rid of this. Hang on. All right, I'm back. So I'm using acrylic lacquer paint. It's oil-based paint, so you want to use mineral spirits for cleanup. And so for long-term storage on this paint sprayer, anything over maybe a week or two, I completely flush the system out, and I put the Graco pump oil conditioner stuff in it. It's that bottle of blue stuff that they make for like long-term storage that you're supposed to cycle through the system, and it treats all the seals inside the pump and all. For kind of quick cleanup, like overnight cleanup, or like sitting for a week or so, I just run some mineral spirits through the pump and through the air hose to flush all the paint out. So I got a little bit of paint left over in this bucket for today, so I'm just gonna, the only thing I do not like about this thing is very top heavy and very awkward to try to get in and out of the bucket without just making a mess. There's just no way to do it without making a mess. Or maybe there is and I'm just not smart enough to figure it out. But anywho, and one thing I should have done was, if you release it down into prime, it dumps the paint out of it. Should have done that. But anyways, so now what I'm gonna do, drop these tubes down into the bucket with the mineral spirits, and we'll go back into spray, cut the machine back on, actually prime it back up, cycle some of the mineral spirits through it, go back into spray. All right, so then what I do is I'll take like my bucket, or it's not gonna hurt it, I'll spray my excess paint into this bucket. So I'm gonna pull the trigger. Hang on, let me get, God, I should have had my mask on. So I'm gonna dump the leftover paint, and it is kind of loud when you're right here next to it, so apologize for that. Might be hard to hear me, but we're gonna go ahead and spray out all of our excess paint into this bucket. All right, you see when it goes clear there. Now we're spraying mineral spirits. So you can cycle the mineral spirits in and out. You can spray it off into the air. I mean, whatever you want to do. I'll sit here and kind of recirculate this mineral spirit through the pump and through the tube. All right, so I'm gonna be using this sprayer again tomorrow. So that's basically all I'm gonna do. What that's done is I've used mineral spirits to flush all of the paint that was still in the system, in the pump, in the line, down through the gun, in the pickup hoses, everything. So all the paint that was in the gun that could have sat up and gummed up overnight has now been flushed out. There's nothing but mineral spirits in this hose and inside the pump and everything. And now we just kind of clean the gun up. So I'll cut it off at this point, pull the tubes back out, and I don't wipe the tubes down or nothing because I'll let that dry overnight and I might wipe it off tomorrow, but it's like impossible to clean up. What I do is I take this pickup screen, and you see like over the day, like some of the paint that starts partially drying and the buckets will flake off. Paint that's dried on the tube will flake off. You're inevitably going to get like trash, maybe stuff blowing into your buckets of paint when you're out in the field painting fence. So I'll take this and put it down here and try to clean this screen off as best as I can. So I'll take a brush and I'll brush this paint off, get it cleaned off of there, and then on my gun, I take my tip off. So this spray tip unscrews right there off of the front of your gun, and then your actual spray tip itself comes out, and then I submerge these in the mineral spirits and just pretty much clean all this up, let it kind of soak, and I'll peel some of the paint off of it, brush it off, do the best I can. I might even take a little acetone, and I don't run acetone through the pump. I'll use acetone to clean off some of the gummed up paint because it breaks it down a little easier. So I absolutely do not put acetone through the machine. I use it to just kind of surface clean the parts, the gun and stuff like that. And as you can see, I don't ever bother cleaning this gun really well because all it's going to do is just gum right back up on it. So I clean it enough to, shouldn't have done that. I clean it just enough to make sure the gun still operates and doesn't gum up to the point that it, you know, won't squeeze and spray paint. So the tip's the main thing I'm concerned about, that and the pickup. All right, well, that's it. Y'all have a good evening.